Welcome to another Tuesday Broad Solutions session. Today is May 6th, 2025, and the focus of today's session is agency, which Broad Solutions is a digital agency, and I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I would love to talk about the digital skills needed in 2025 as we're moving to a skill-based economy. It requires both deep and wide expertise, knowledge, and execution. I'm Tanner Broadhagen, the founder of Broad Solutions. I'm a self-taught website programmer turned businessman in 2012, and I'm building a leading digital agency. And alongside me is Caitlin, our marketing specialist, graduated from Western, joined us last year, and here we are. The strategy today is to share the 2025 digital skills that agencies need to provide high-quality digital solutions. So this is for people looking to gain digital skills, but it's also an insider knowledge of what an agency such as Broad Solutions would actually need to move forward in the current technology age here. So what is a skill-based economy? It's actually the future here. It's a system where individual skills rather than traditional credentials or job titles are the primary drivers of professional value and success. What does that mean? It means people are actually going out looking for gigs and freelance work and doing it themselves and not getting a traditional pension-based job like we were told by our parents. And so you can see it generationally based here on the 2023 numbers, where 52%, over half of Generation Z, has went out and gotten freelance work. 44% of millennials, which would be my group, are doing freelance work. Generation X, about 30%, and the baby boomers, about 26%. And it's a real thing that people are becoming more skillful in the opportunities that they have. They can go out to someone and actually use that skill directly and not have to go through the traditional employment type of system anymore. And so even at my agency, we hire freelancers all the time for just odd jobs or random work or like short-term things, such as we don't do graphic design here, so I hire a local person, Mike Clock, through Stuff Brain Studios, and he does our logos and our graphics for our marketing materials. So the hiring in 2025, the vast majority of work is based on skill. Honestly, like if you have the expertise, if you're available and you do valuable work, that's something that someone like me who hires people would be interested in. The major benefit of both parties, both the agency and the freelancer here, is that the length of commitment is shorter and the pay scale typically becomes higher. So I'm gonna get a faster deliverable from someone who knows what they're doing, and I don't have to train them and work with them day to day and onboard them and do all the paperwork and all the due diligence. And vice versa, they can come in and just start working on the project, the task right away. And for me, I will pay more for that, and a lot of other businesses will do pay more for that because of the cost savings of having to do all of the traditional employment stuff. So here, we're talking about freelancers, side hustlers, independent contractors, portfolio career people, so that maybe an artist or a designer, a graphic designer, and people who do really high specialized work who base it on their portfolios. And then also agency founders such as myself, where I started as a freelancer and I moved all the way to an agency to hire other people to help me. But again, we're still hustling at this level too to get work and do smaller expert level skills for businesses that aren't fully hired in, that kind of thing. So the skills that I'm referring to, I've broken them down here into hard, soft skills, and tech skills. And the hard skills are just relevant, teachable, and knowledge-based training and experience. In a very traditional sense, as the next slide will show, it's education based, it's going to college, it's going to courses and programs like that, and actually learning something. And so that's outside of the hiring scope. Rather, you'd have these skills beforehand. The soft skills, we do talk about technology and we talk about the actual the to-do or the execution of it. However, being in the world of contracting yourself out and working with other people, you really have to provide this value for other humans, which we'll touch on. And then in the technology, as it continues to just explode with the amount of things you could do and the amount of technologies to learn, dedicating yourself to learning a system, a language, or a framework is the focus for today. So the breakdown of the skills here on the list. First, we'll talk about the hard skills, both education and what's in demand. We'll talk about the soft skills, the humanization of using those soft skills and building connections. And on the technology front, we'll talk about the code and we'll talk about design. And for reference, Broad Solutions is a digital agency, and we are focused here on digital marketing, web design, and web development, so I can speak to those very well. Some of these other skills and other things we only use sparingly, but they are still part of this digital agency scope. The hard skills, so the education would be the choice to learn, training, and gaining knowledge here. So choosing the path based on how much time you can put into it, how either generic or narrow the content is, and then what your budget is to absorb this education. So the traditional path has been universities, and that takes years to go through. It's a very generic knowledge-based system, and it's very expensive, as everyone knows. Middle ground would be programs, and programs could be put on by colleges, they could be put on by third parties, but typically those are month-long programs. They're focused more on an exact technology or platform or language, and the cost becomes moderate because the time really truncates down into months. And then you have your online courses, which can be days, weeks, very short term. The education model and content is hyper focused and narrow, and it becomes very cheap because you're only talking about that certain thing. And to just continue on with that, people know what a university is, so no need to talk there. The most important things would be the middle tier, which would be the programs, the month-long training to learning systems and frameworks. Colleges and other institutions have technology degrees, of which you can focus on something specific and earn certifications in, as well as doing online courses. So that's really nice for longer term, very hard to learn skills and frameworks and larger things. And then you have the courses on a week type time frame, and these are tailored towards learning like specific languages or specific skills, and some of these other like smaller type of specific tech programs. So a boot camp could be focused on Next.js, it could be focused on React.js, and that's JavaScript for the web to build websites. And so that's a very particular way to think about it versus a technology degree that would teach you JavaScript and how to use it in many different platforms, and going from the foundational all the way up until how you use it. The courses can also be a variation of in-person, online, or even on demand, which is really nice these days. So you can get educated relatively quickly and much cheaper than you used to be able to. And there's plenty of programs out there, which is fantastic. Ideally, you go for a certification of some sort that gives you kind of a foundational skill to start out with. As far as the hard skills that are in demand right now, the things that are teachable are data analysis and visualization. And here in the parentheses, we just have the types of programs, technology programs or arenas that you would be looking in. So Looker Studio is here. Excel spreadsheets are very popular still. Tableau. the digital marketing realm, SEO, search engine optimization, SEM, search engine marketing, email, paid social, all very relevant. E-commerce, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce or BigCommerce, Amazon FBM, selling products online, very, very useful these days. Project management, being able to use techniques such as Agile and Scrum, as well as platforms that actually control tasks and milestones and projects in whether it's Notion or Asana or all of these other types of frameworks are super, super important for getting anything with the team going and making sure it's delivered on time. And then you have content creation. So video editing, still going to be really relevant, high in demand right now. I have Caitlin doing video editing for me. It's time consuming, but it's very, very worth it. Podcasting and Canva and AI tools and things to make more content. So, that's a very teachable skill, which is just going to be helpful on web or in any kind of technology sphere here. The automation field, which is going to be that like newer demand and maybe where things are going and where the education gap is becoming more and more vast because not many people are learning it, is going to be in prompt engineering. So being able to use ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot and asking these AI engines to be able to use data or go into SEO or help your website out or project manage or maybe create some content is a layer on top of this, along with workflow automations, Zapier and Make. How do I move data from here to there? How do I help out my business and make sure that things are automated so I don't have to do these specific actions? CRM is a customer relationship management system. As you absorb clients and get things to do, it's important to be able to know where they're at in the purchase funnel or the sales pipeline, etc. And then low code or no code tools. Here I've only identified Webflow, but there's a bunch of low code, no code tools, which are building websites and programs and actual tech stuff, but being able to do it on web in a drag and drop type of way. Going into the soft skills of 2025 digital agency needs is humanization. And so I've identified this one as emotional intelligence. Nonetheless, it's person-to-person communication. Whether you're remote or right next to someone, or maybe you're cross-country or cross-cultural, it's important to be able to speak with a person because ultimately you're doing this tech, but it's for someone individually or for a business, and you're going to need to talk to these folks here. So critical thinking and problem skills, not everyone's just going to give you exactly what you need to do and you're just going to be able to do it right away. So being able to adapt and figure out what they need and how to solve their actual problem, because speaking to experience here at Broad Solutions, we get things all the time that are fresh and new and have yet to be done. And so there's a part of communication that you have to be able to navigate those avenues as far as understanding what truly they need and how to deliver that to them in a proper way. The collaboration in digital environments, obviously hopping on Zoom or Teams and doing those things and being professional, and then being resilient because tech will really just absolutely demolish you because it's fast paced and it's hard to learn and you make mistakes and things like that. So people won't pay you on time. That's a bummer. You got to be resilient and keep on moving forward. The waiting for people to reply to you or your communication not going correctly, keeping your intelligence, your emotional intelligence in check is very, very important for a soft skill, no matter where you go, in all honesty. And the leadership, as you're being a freelancer, independent contractor, Sometimes you're going to be leading teams, whether that's, internal or external. And, you're going to deal with management as far as moving from this type of mindset or going to this type of new technology. And so ensuring that everyone's being heard, as well as the skills in the leadership are, the feedback and performance in the skill-based setting. So like, what did we learn? How can we move forward with this and make it better? Ideally, you're working with someone and bringing them up, as well as bringing your skills up and providing that value. In the soft skills arena, number 4 here, I have labeled it as connections, but effectively, if you are going to have a skill in a skill-based economy, you're going to be moving around a lot. You'll want to really build a foundation of connections within your market so that you can get work. And so in this graphic on the right, I just have, as generic as possible, there's a giant market out there of these community people who you probably never talk to, but they're there. You have the leads of the potential prospects who may or may not need your skill, and you are kind of mining them and hoping that they'll contact you. You have the business people that you work with, the ones that actually converted into, someone who can actually like use your skills, and you work with them directly. And then you have you making the money here. And this is just an identification to say that like your skills stay with you, but as you move around, whether you get reemployed for a full-time job or you stay out and be a freelancer and skilled-based person, you definitely want to keep these people around you, because they're going to have other skills and other connections, and it's important to make it through this skill progression here. So if you start out on your own, you're really hustling for that business. There's not much that you're doing, and you really got to make ends meet to pay the bills. And I've went through this. I'm all the way down to number 8 here in my life, but as simple as possible, you'll be paying the bills, and that'll get you by. Hopefully you can get to a point where you can quit your full-time job and start to do your skill, and it's really rounded out, and you can be on your own and be independent here. You can start to feel comfortable to say no to certain types of work, because you don't do that. You're starting to get tighter on the skills that you provide, and you're very comfortable in denying the fact that you don't need everyone's business at this point. You can actually start to increase your rates for that skill. You become more of an expert, and you get your portfolio down, and people start to recognize you as an expert in the field. Then you can start to turn down bad clients, which is a really nice one here. You don't have to keep around people that are kind of dragging you in different directions and maybe not paying invoices on time, etc. You can start to hire helpers who can do those other skills that you don't have and you don't want to focus on. And that's a really nice step as well. I've done that myself in 2024, and I'm continuing to do it and hire people who have these other skill sets that either I don't want to learn or it's hard for me to learn, and I'll just pay them. And then you get to this scale opportunity where now you can actually do really high quality work, and you get the system down and the knowledge and framework, you optimize that, and then you can really thrive off of this skill progression. But it all starts with building this foundation of connections in that market that actually needs your skill. And so that's a very highly probably looked over thing that not many people are going to tell you about, but it is hyper important to make sure that you don't burn bridges with people, and you tell them that you'll accept referrals, and you want to provide value to every person that you talk to along the way. Hopping into the tech skills, number 5 here, code. There are deep specialties in this arena. So programming languages is probably the most popular, highly sought after, iconic thing in the code world. Here's some quick examples: Python, JavaScript, SQL. This list could be a mile long of the different programming languages that are out there. You can go look up salaries by skill. You can go look up difficulty by learning the skill, how much the boot camps cost. That's where a lot of that information is going to be for programming languages, and that's what a lot of the deep specialties are going to really focus on. It's just like learning English. Once you learn English, you can read books, you can write, you can do a myriad of things. Hopping into cloud infrastructure, that would be managing servers, AWS, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Google Cloud, managing servers and that background stuff. Cybersecurity and compliance is a very hot topic for things that data sensitive. Everything's becoming online, and how are we going to lock it down and make sure that we're meeting compliance and we're being secure with everything that we do. Very highly paid skill at that level, and a very well known technology courses and certifications in that field. Then there's API integrations, which I tend to favor and really like. That's communicating from one system to another, throwing the data across, building different webhooks and workflows, and making sure that they talk to each other. And then there's, I say deep specialty, but it's an important specialty of being able to have versions of your code and being able to share it with a team, work on different branches, and this is just one of the skill sets you just have to have as being a coder, because eventually you're going to work with other people, and you got to make sure that not only does the versions work together, but that you're also communicating how you're doing things and why you're doing it. And then diving into the more futuristic type of things, AI, I should have used plus data probably instead of and data, but becoming fluent in how machine learning and AIs are using the data these days. It's becoming more and more rare to build algorithms and building your own little frameworks and things like that. A lot of these either no-code tools or AI tools are just built for consuming raw amounts of data, and it's an important skill to start to learn now, because in 2025 it's becoming basically the way that apps and organizations are running. They don't want a programmer to build something from scratch in their own way that doesn't communicate with anything else. It's quite the opposite. Let's throw it into a giant tool and let AI do the processing. Let's spit out the result that we need, and let's build a workflow that is going to give us the reports. It's going to give us the data sets. It's going to make customers' lives easier. And so learning those skills, hyper important in the code world. The hyper focus down at the bottom of the graphic, be more specific. That's the best advice that I could possibly give here. So they mention, I've heard before that like people still know Fortran, which is a programming language from a long time ago, maybe 70s, 80s or so. People still have that skill and that data set, and they get paid very well for that, even though it's not some new age, sexy type of language. But there's not that many people doing it, so there's a high demand for the skill, and there's high dollar to be paid for that. The fun part of the tech skills would be the design. So blending the design stuff with business goals. That's user experience, UX, and user interface, UI design. So using the tools like Figma or Sketch or Adobe XD, a lot of it's website based, as far as what's a user going to do once they come to my website? What kind of experience are they going to have? Let's wire map a flow together. Let's make sure the user journeys are captured. And it's a very visual design tool to help give coders the thing to program, but hyper important to meet business goals. The visual and brand is, something that you're seeing even like here. And I tried to put something, visual on a lot of these slides. I try to use the same colors. I try to use the same fonts, the same layout. And so it evokes that message, and it's very important on a slide deck, on a content piece, on a product, on marketing materials, and all of these types of things. And then there's also a very kind of niche growing opportunity with data informed things. A/B testing is very popular in the design world, and it's becoming a mashup between design and data, where I'm going to offer a web page to 50% of the folks that visit it, and I'm going to show them something different. And then what about design and what about user behavior is making it better for the customer here and making the business more money ultimately. So that's a really nice, fun opportunity and skill to have. And then over on the visual media side, video production and editing, using tools like Premiere Pro and Final Cut and CapCut, and everyone's looking at shorts these days and TikTok, and everyone's doing these video based things because it's very popular right now. Storytelling for digital platforms is a weird way to just say social media posts, and how do you post something for LinkedIn versus TikTok, and what kind of graphics do you use? What kind of messaging are you telling people? There's the graphics industry of our mascot Link. There's the SVGs. There's AI type of driven imagery. There's all sorts of different things that you can do with Photoshop and Illustrator and Canva these days, as well as Figma to really give that visualness appeal. And then I don't know much about this industry particularly, but the animation industry with After Effects and these three other systems here that are very where the tech industry is going as far as design wise. We love movement right now, and we want to showcase and tell a story visually, and a lot of this stuff is about moving parts and keeping you interested and keeping your attention span. So effectively you're going to be designing for the human experience. So the takeaways from this session here on the agency of 2025 digital skills to have: the educate directly for your intended skill. So finding, whether it's university, whether it's programs or courses, you want to make sure that it's going right at the skill that you want. And then you want to acquire that in-demand skill. So doing some research to know that people actually need that, it's up and coming, or it's foundational to a business, and you're going to find a lot of work out there because we're in a skill-based economy here. Building relationships and connections on that human piece, and making sure that you provide good service along with good work. And then becoming an expert in the technology-based programs is, whether it's code or design, it's going into Figma and being an absolute boss in Figma, and being able to show your portfolio and show what you can do and keep deriving that skill, and you'll just continue to make more money. Upcoming sessions are going to be improve a web app in 2 hours on our development side. May 20th, ad setup and your first campaign in the marketing sector. And then May 27th, why user experience is everything in the design side. Thanks for watching.